Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Office Hours with Dr. Ellen Derrick. I am double board certified as a surgeon in general and vascular surgery, and I'm also boarded in obesity medicine. So today we're going to talk about fad diets that promise quick weight loss. So a fad diet is like a fad anything. It seems really appealing because it promises a quick fix or a quick change with minimal long-term change. What is the difference between a fad diet and a sustainable eating plan or eating program? I will say that probably the easiest way to think about a fad diet. When I was in medical school, one of our professors, who was a professor of endocrinology, and he did a lot of research around diabetes and weight loss. He gave us a lecture on fad diets, and what he said was that a fad diet is essentially marketing. And a fad diet works because it eliminates a food group. For example, when I was growing up in the 90s, it was all about non fat. I ate anything that said fat free, anything. And I ate that because it was very popular not to have high fat products because I wanted to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight. Currently, one of the ones I see most commonly is high protein. One of my patients taught me something called green halo marketing, which is food marketing where they market something that's already true. For example, a beef stick and saying, wow, it's high protein. It is in fact a beef stick. So it is protein on a stick. Fad dieting, in summary, is essentially eliminating one food group or focusing on one food group, and that will eliminate calories and it will reduce how much you eat. And that is why, in the short term, fad dieting is so effective. Okay, so red flags to look for when you're evaluating a certain diet that you want to pursue. And I'll just use right now and just change the word from diet to nutrition and nourishment. When we are living, and we're all patients, it just depends what disease we have, but our biology is built to keep us from starving. So anytime we reduce our calories, we are going to change the hormones in our body. There's ghrelin, which says I'm hungry, and there's leptin, which says I'm full. And when you're not focused on getting adequate nutrition to meet your activity and life level, you're going to also adjust your hormones, and it's going to resist weight loss, and it will, in fact, over time, by lowering your metabolism, increase weight gain. So how do we do that? How do we change the dosage of certain nutrients to maintain a healthy diet so that we can use the energy that we consume and not store the energy? That's the way I like to think about eating or nutrition. It's really a practice, and it's consistent practice. And it's a real pain in the backside to consistently, day after day, change a habit that we're used to. For example, if my habit is that I order dinner every Sunday night from DoorDash and I want to change my nutrition, it means that I have to think ahead on Friday and Saturday about what I'm going to cook, and I have to make a list and go to the grocery store, and then I have to spend time on Sunday cooking it. And maybe I don't have time on Sunday to cook it. And so when I think about changing my nutrition so I have better balance of nutrients, my body's demand, I have to be very intentional. And there are some tricks that can help you when you make the change. And one is when you're at the grocery store, work the outside aisles. The outside aisles has all the boring stuff like fruits and vegetables and dairy and protein. And the inside aisles have all the fun things like Oreos and donuts and fat-free bagels that I ate in the 90s. So the first thing that you can do when you're working on change is you can just try to restrict your grocery shopping to the outer ring of the grocery store. Second piece of advice that I use for myself is if it's colorful, it is very likely the earth made it and your body is of the earth. Your body can use the nutrients in colorful food. So we always say at Box Bar, eat the rainbow. If it's colorful, eat it and don't count it. If it's white, think about it. Something white is processed. Something white is going to be broken down and create sugar. That's why I think about it as white, because sugar is white. So rainbow, eat, don't count, white, think about it. Okay, so mentally and physical, when folks try extreme diets to promote rapid weight loss, in the first, mentally, I think in the beginning it's so exciting, and then you start to see change just like they promise. So in the beginning it's elation and it's excitement. However, over time a person's body is not probably eating enough, and so I reduce my activity level. And if I'm also not maintaining my muscle mass by doing weight bearing exercises, then I can also reduce my muscles. My muscles are important for my resting metabolic rate. So when I'm not using my body, how quickly is my metabolism working? So ironically, by reducing my calorie intake to achieve rapid weight loss, I'm going to reduce my muscle mass, which long term is going to reduce my metabolism, which means if I stop my extreme dieting, I'm going to gain all the weight plus weight. And the plus weight comes from those hormones that I talked about, ghrelin and leptin, GLP-1 and peptide YY. Both of the GLP-1 and the peptide YY are hormones that help you feel full and regulate your eating. And so when you do an extreme diet, those also get out of whack. And so biologically, you're just not designed to eat those little calories, and your body responds by driving you away from starvation, and it increases your hunger. If you eat less, do you weigh less? And I'm going to challenge that with a book that came out in the 90s. And this was written by a cardiologist. And I'm going to say, what if you eat more and weigh less? What if there's a way to eat more but weigh less? When we talk about fad dieting, it's always eat and weigh less. What if we eat more and weigh less? How does that happen? So there's a terrific book by Dr. Dean Ornish. He's a cardiologist from Baylor in Houston, where I grew up. And he wrote the book when I was a pre-med student. And he worked with chefs all over the country to design basically macronutrient rich meals. And he also talked about with patients how to do substitutions like yogurt for sour cream, or just different types of healthier substitutions. He was a cardiologist, or still is, and his idea was that if people ate different types of food, they could reverse heart disease. It was a very avant-garde idea in the 90s when I was a pre-med student. And it turns out, he did research, and it turns out that the answer is yes, you can. You can absolutely reverse coronary artery disease by eating a different balance of food. And when you can go buy that cookbook on Amazon. We have it in our kitchen. It's an oldie but goodie. But when you read through that, what you see is that he's really promoting natural or whole food. So he's promoting rainbow food. He's not promoting counting it, but he's promoting, if you eat a lot of rainbow food, it turns out that's going to be fiber, and you're going to eat more. You are going to feel full. Your GLP-1 and your GIP and your peptide YY are going to be very happy. When your intestine, your colon is full from fiber, and that's another talk on another day, the Box Bar Fiber Bowl. But when your colon is full, it turns out that you make your own GLP-1, especially with GLP-1s that are on the market today. And we're all like, oh my God, GLP-1 and GLP-1 and GLP-1, but they work because it's how your body works. And it turns out you can increase your own GLP-1 and other peptides and hormones that reflect satiety by eating high fiber food, because the colon loves that. And here's the other piece. It turns out that all of us have a biologic set point in our brain for weight. It's just the weight that you are when you're not doing much. You're eating a little more today, a little less tomorrow. You had some Oreos, you had a hamburger, maybe you had a glass of wine or a beer. You're running, you're lifting weights, you're riding the bus, doing all the things that you do every day. But you don't have to think too much about it. And that's just your number. That's the number that your brain and your body like to be at. Whenever you change your caloric intake or your nutritional balance, you can, in the short term, adjust the set point and have a lower weight. But if you don't also change your habit and your practice of nourishment, then your brain will drive all the hormones to go back to the set point or higher. So, the secret to eating more and weighing less, it's the balance of the nutrition that you nourish yourself with. And fiber and protein are very high value, and so is full fat, very high value nutritionally. And the simplest way is eat the rainbow and don't count. And if it's white, think about it. Thanks for joining me today, Office Hours with Dr. Ellen Derrick, to talk about fad diets and why they fail.